DAO, you get a lot of power, which you might not be able to realize. It's not just the data access layer, or like you get a facility, like it's like it's like you would be able to kind of like track your database. Let's say, okay, here's a page, here's my data access layer, right? DAO, that's my page. Okay, with this, what I did was it really kind of like I implemented some trick methods, right? So, okay, here's a trace for that page. Every time I run the page, right, I would get some kind of trace with this. So what I did was, okay, because my web page was getting slower, I wanted to make it more faster. So what I did was, okay, I would use the trace to track my queries too. So what I did in my DAO class, because it used to run on the same instance of one kind of like page, right? So every time I run the DAO class, it used to save it, it used to write it to my trace. Right? I could, like, after that I would show you some example on the trace to how it works and how, like, and this way whenever I went to a page, I was doing some query, right? And let's say if my trace was on based on my login or some kind of query string, then I would see all those queries for a page, so I could immediately know what was the problem. So with these, I was tracking the time too. Every time I was making the query, I was having a timestamp, and after that, when the query was executed and like it came back, I used to track the time too. This way, I knew how much time was a query taking it, right? And let's say if there was some kind of queries, they took a long time, then what I did was I investigated more. Let's say if the relation was performed good or not, like, let's say, so I wanted all my queries to run on a constant time. And this was the main thing, right? And after that, this was the power I got from using the DAO access layer. You got to know how to implement it, right? Basically, not having the idea how to implement it, or let's say you want to do it more. After that, with the central command, right? And there was one other thing what I implemented, because with this AJAX thing, right? There's only some kind of facility you get, but once you understand what's AJAX, right, you'd be getting more from that too. Let's say your .NET application this is like a new kind of like .NET application you are designing, right? Okay, I want some kind of AJAX to be coordinated and fast. Okay, so same as iPage, what I created was sync page. Sync page. It had some partial functionality that was included over here in my iPage. It's similar, but this page was kind of like a sync page, but this was a synchronous page, a synchronous page. So every time I got a synchronous request, that would go through this, and every time I got a synchronous request, this would go to this, right? Okay, these are some kind of pages which I implemented to implement some kind of like asynchronous action, just like AJAX. Okay, so for AJAX, what I would do is like, okay, I created a custom control. This is my custom control, right? So this is my custom control. So what kind of functionality would it have? Like, let's say it can have some kind of web URL that it can request during the runtime. Web URL, and there will be other properties like, okay, what's my client side ID? You can override this, right? You can override this, and it can have the client side. Like, while calling the render function for this, it will call the client ID, and it would find that this class has overridden my client ID, so my new client ID would be whatever is implemented over here. So on the render method, I kind of like I just had some kind of like script. Again, look, centralizing everything is really good, because what I did was earlier was I had to centralize global.js. This was a centralized coordination of all my JavaScript. This had all this AJAX function, like populated div, right, and or populated yes no confirmation, and even this had some kind of like partial page update functions. Okay, this used a partial page update function. Whatever, there's only one JavaScript function I need to run to get to get a component. Let's say it was partial page. It was partial page. Here was, okay, what's the URL I'm gonna go through, right? What's the URL I'm gonna go, and what's the div I'm gonna populate it after I get the response, right? And so how I coordinate this everything so that it would have worked well, secure, and there wouldn't be any kind of AJAX injections or something like that. So what I did was, okay, I created a custom control that would generate the HTML required for a div. So this custom control acted like a div, but it was a dynamic div. Okay, I want, let's say, I would explain you a simple scenario where you want to use that one. Let's say if I have a page, right, and there's a lot of components, okay, div 1, div 2, div 3, and there's a lot of content inside it. You don't want to load all those content at a time, so that it can take a lot of time. So what I want to do is you want to use a synchronous method to populate some of those divs, right? So whenever I was implementing a page, what I did was, okay, for some X content, right, let's say this is your page, and there's 6-7 components over here. So what I want to do, I placed 4 components, just like this boards div, right? I placed 4 components, 4 of my custom components over here, and I just mentioned the whatever URL it should use and whatever the ID it has. And after that, okay, when my component got rendered, right, it had a div tag. Okay, and below that was a JavaScript function that was a partial page update, this URL, this div. And during the runtime, it got loaded fast because it didn't need any time at all. Okay, I got a phone call, let me take it, right? I'll just be back. Alright guys, let's start again over the break, right? Okay, this was the architecture I implemented to get my web page run faster, trackable, and secure. So, okay, this question now, okay, I'm implementing an AJAX, right? But what if my other guy is gonna see my web request, right? So, okay, in that case, what I did was, okay, I'm using a cookie jar, right? Cookie jar for my security, right? Okay, nobody could inject that one because it would be encrypted, right? So all my synchronous pages, right, on the web server, this page, this page, this page, this page, right, all of 4 4 content pages, right, they would be inheriting from this async page, right? And this will track of all the security issue. It can check if the user ID is valid, if the context is valid, if there's no more injection or something like that, and then populate the content after that, right? And how easy it is. And let's say if there's some more checking, right? Let's say if you have 1,000 pages or 2,000 pages like that, and there's a new bug over there, and you want to control that, you could just use the centered command. That's the good thing. Or if you want to implement some kind of language too. Let's say, okay, I want to implement some kind of different language. So what you do is our page and sync page. That's the hint. That's the answer for that one. What I would do is let's say I'm using English right now, right? Let's say if I want to implement some kind of different language, I'm from Nepal, right? So let's say I want to implement some kind of Nepali language. So what I would do is I would be okay, let's take the sync page and a sync page, right? And during the render time, after all the content have been generated, I can look for tags, whatever I want to change to. Let's say I would create a dictionary, right? And that dictionary would be okay, here is a dictionary, right? That would have some kind of correspondence or links between English word and some Nepali word, right? Okay, then during this random method, it will search for all the English words and in the dictionary, and every time it found some kind of meaning or something like that or correspondence, it will just replace that one. And look, I could just implement dictionary.